So today we're talking about labels that we put upon ourselves. And even if you believe that you do not label yourself in any shape, form, or fashion, you do. Man, woman, mother, father, child. We have so many ways that we do it. Now you're going to hear me talking today about people standing up for the rights of a particular label that they might choose. Please do not hear me say that there's anything wrong with that. What I will tell you throughout this whole talk is that if you label yourself and you identify yourself with that label, you are limiting your identity. Plain and simple. You're limiting your identity. So, what labels do you have for you? Just consider that for a moment. And then as I talk, see which other ones pop up. Oh yeah, I do that too. Labels are anything that we use to identify ourselves, basically. And the thing that you need to know about it is that's not a bad thing. It's actually pretty natural for us to do. See, we're here because God wanted to experience that part of its expression. God wanted to expand His knowing of Himself. And He did that through us. So we naturally are going to want to know about ourselves. We naturally want to know more and more and more about us, to learn more and more, to grow and expand and all this. And a lot of the times we do that through the labeling that we put upon ourselves. We label ourselves by gender, ethnicity, sexuality, religion, occupation, and these are just a few examples. Like I said, the mother, father, retired, working, our zodiac signs. We were just talking about some of those this morning. Hobbies, race beliefs, cultural beliefs, generational beliefs. And then there's the human race collective beliefs that all lead in to ways we label ourselves. Each of these labels create beliefs. We had a sad time. Was it Friday? I think it was. We had to have one of our pups put to sleep. And while I was not conscious of it at the time, a label played really big in my life and my experience and all of that as we were doing this. It wasn't until after I got away from the situation that I realized it. But as we were in the vet's office and they were administering the shots, I just felt this need to let go and cry and all of this. And the labeling that I've put upon myself about being a man, and a man must be strong, and a man cannot cry, all came in. And I didn't shed a tear. I wanted to. I felt like it. But those beliefs were so strong, it overpowered my natural tendencies, my natural urges. These labels and these beliefs are powerful things. That limited my experience of that whole situation. Now, I don't know whether crying would have made it easier. I don't know if it would have made me feel anything differently. But I limited the way I expressed into that situation. And we had just gotten back in the truck to head back home when that realization hit. I mean, it was that quick. So I'm proud of myself for tuning in. But good, bad, or indifferent, these labels that we put upon ourselves do create some pretty major limits. We see a lot happening right now. Earlier this week, we flipped on the TV at some point during the day, and there was, I guess it was during one of the morning shows there in New York City, and the plaza that they zoomed out on was just filled with thousands of women. And they were all there for, I only watched a little bit of it, so I may have the reason a little bit wrong, but my understanding was they were there for some sort of women's conference supporting women's rights and women equality. I am a fan of that. Okay? I do believe that women are deserving of every right that every other person is deserving of. They are equal to every other person. I am all for that, but here's what happens. If we're not careful, we stand so strongly in that label, in that identity, that we create gaps. We start seeing differences. I am woman, you are man, here's a gap. That doesn't do anything to bring equality. That doesn't do anything to level out the playing field and the rights. Same goes for the demonstrations for race equality, sexual tendency or gay rights, I saw something not too long ago about indigenous rights. We're so cautious these days to make sure that each individual identity, each individual label is equal to each other. Why don't we forget about all of the different identities and start looking at, I see you. I see you. And the only difference between you and me is the fact that we are holed up in these different bodies. And that's a perception. Because if we are all expressions of God, how different can we be, really? You know, we've talked several times about our beliefs create our reality. And the song by India R.E. that we listened to earlier, that I Am Light, I love the way she phrases everything in that, because she talks about, I am not the color of my skin. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not my mother's beliefs, and we could talk about the whole thing, the whole song. I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not that. What I am is light. How beautiful would this world be if every single person thought that way? I am light. And if I am light, you are light. What a beautiful merge it would be. These labels, as I said, are extremely limiting. Now, they're not bad things. It's not that I claim to be a man, that doesn't make it bad. You claim to be a woman, that doesn't make it bad. Someone claims it to be gay, that doesn't make it bad. We don't deny the labels that we have discovered. That's not what we're here to deny. What we're here to deny is the fact we're here to deny all of the limits that those labels put upon us. Every single label, as I said, do bring limits. And the problem is that most of these limits, most of these beliefs about these labels are happening on that subconscious level. You know, we can stand up, we can go to the rallies for women's rights, and we can stand up for that, and everything feels like it's very positive, it's very It's very constructive, productive. But on that subconscious level is where that gap that I talked about earlier, where that gap happens. It's where okay, well, everybody that's here is in line with what I believe to be true and powerful and positive. If you're not here, then you're over here. We've got this gap going on, okay? Most of that happens on the subconscious level. We've talked many times about how our thoughts create, how our beliefs create, and if most of that's happening on the subconscious level, we're in some deep stuff if we're not careful as far as what we're creating. We kind of feel like this is overwhelming, at least I do, when I start thinking about, I got to fix that thought. Oh, now I got to fix that thought, and I've got to fix that thought, and I've got to fix this thought, and I got to repair this, and I got to heal this, and I got to. Just talking about it makes you, oh my God. There's good news. There's real good. Number one, you're not alone. You're not alone in the way you feel. Your journey to heal is not a lonely journey. You've got two things going for you there. Number one, you can come in here anytime you want to and talk to us. Talk to me. I'll be here for you. But most importantly, all you have to do is turn within. Because when you turn within, you can heal because you find your foundation upon which everything is built. And that foundation is incapable of building anything imperfect. So to tackle all of this, there's some things you need to know. First of all, you are a child of God. If you want to pick a label, if you want to identify yourself, make that number one. Make that your top identity. Now, here's some words of caution. If you choose that as your label, I am a child of God, and you look across the road and you say, oh, but he's not, you're not picking the right label. You're picking a religious label, and as many of you know, we're not going to go religious in here. We're talking spiritual in here. When you have that label from a spiritual point of view, everybody is a child of God. Everything is an expression of God. Ernest Holmes said, and I always go back to him, but that's because I'm in a study right now on some of his work, and it's like every week, no matter what topic I am led to talk about, Ernest is saying something about it. So, anyway, Ernest said something about this, about choosing to be a child of God. He talks about who you really are. He says, we should turn to the indwelling Spirit who lives in the secret place of our own lives. There is no other way. We must seek the center and the cause which can be found nowhere except within. He says more, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, when we find that center and that cause, we can realize that we truly are. We truly are one with God. We truly do create through our thoughts, through our beliefs, the experience of life that we have. When we get to that truth, we begin to understand we can alter, we can heal, we can correct, we can do whatever is needed with our thoughts to create a different life if we need to, improve upon the life that we already have if that works for us, whatever we need to do. So the first thing, you are a child of God. Go within. Find that indwelling Spirit. And it's not hard to find. All you can do is be open to receive, open to see, open to perceive. Ernest goes on. For we are individuals in the universe of limitless possibilities, using powers which are so stupendous that they stagger the imagination. Until now, we have been using these powers in ignorance. Let us begin today to use them with intelligence. All right, we're going to talk about some of this, and I'm going to try to make it quick so I don't run too far over time here. We are individuals in a universe of limitless possibilities. This is very, very important talking about these labels here, because when we identify as a label, we are automatically slapping a limit on it. We can only go to the edge of that label. If we cross that edge, we better find a new label, or get rid of the label altogether. As I said, there's nothing wrong with the labels themselves if you realize that they are, think of it as this beautiful, your life as this beautiful tapestry. Those labels, when you are open to the fact and to the truth that you are a child of God, when you're open to that, these labels become threads used to weave this beautiful tapestry. They do not make up your whole. They are not your limited identity. They come together to weave this infinite, beautiful experience that is your life. We go back to Ernest. He talks about the powers so stupendous that they stagger the imagination. They are so stupendous that we're scared to look at them sometimes. These powers are the powers that we use every time we think. And whether you choose to be conscious of this or not, every thought is creating an experience. It's creating something. In the beginning, God. That was all there was. There's really no beginning. What this is talking about in the Bible is in the beginning of creation. Before creation began, there was only God, as far as you can imagine. God thought, God mind, God spirit, thought into the law. The law created what we experience today. The law created us. The law created. Our thoughts tap into that same divine law, that same principle, and they create. Now, the thing you need to know about the law, it don't care. It's not personal. It doesn't, oh, I love her, so I'm going to do this. Oh, I don't like you very much, I'm not going to do this. The law just does. So if we think love into it, that's what we get. If we think love is lacking, that's what we get. That's what we get. Ernest says that until now we've been using the powers in ignorance, and that simply means that we were unaware of the truth that our thoughts create, or unwilling to believe that our thoughts create. To use this in intelligence is to let go of all of our limits, let go of our labels, long enough to realize our truth as one with God, as expressions of God, as children of God. Know that your thoughts create, and be cautious of the thoughts that you allow in your life. It would be wonderful if we could identify all 80,000 thoughts that run through our minds during the day. If you ever figure out how to do that, let me know. Because I don't know. I don't know how to do that. But I do know that when I build a foundation on truth, when I know that I am a child of God, that begins to affect every thought that I have, even the ones on the subconscious level. When you build a foundation of good, everything starts to shape up on that foundation of good. Your thoughts begin to heal. Your thoughts begin to correct. See others as children of God. No matter where you are, no matter what's going on, especially if you're in a place where you see something happening you don't like, that's a child of God. Because as long as you're seeing something you don't like and that's where your focus is, you're in judgment, you're in comparison, that is placing labels on that person, which is separating you from them. And if you can't find that oneness, which is you're both children of God, there will forever be a need for healing. There will forever be limits. This reminds me of the word namaste, which I think came from the Hindu teachings. I might be wrong about that, but I know it came from the East. Namaste, the best, my favorite definition that I've seen on that is the divinity in me honors the divinity in you. So next time you see something you're not real crazy about, remember that word. Because it truly can turn you around, truly can open you up. You're a divine being, so am I. And that's connected. So see the divine in others. See it in yourself. Connect with both. Embrace it. Experience it. And let the labels be the threads that weave through your life, not the limits that you place upon life. So let's pray. Father God, we simply breathe in this truth. We breathe in your love and your peace, knowing that it is within us and within all others. We recognize your presence everywhere. In this truth, we recognize you. We recognize our ability to express as you. We recognize our truth as one with you. We recognize peace and joy throughout our lives. Knowing these truths, our expression reflects them. Our expression reflects your truth and expands the world. Expands our experience of the world. We embrace these truths, and God, we hold them in gratitude, knowing that the source of all goodness is within our oneness with you. Knowing that you are everywhere present, we know our source of goodness is everywhere. We see this life experience in gratitude and love in the light and the love of you. We express light, we express peace, we express truth, and we build our life experience upon goodness and love. Knowing that this is already possible, we just open our awareness to it. Open our awareness to the fact that it is done. And so it is. Amen.